What have you done?
I've been enjoying myself. That's what I've been doing.
What have you got going here?
Oh, we have an energy device that takes electrons that are available just about everywhere and converts them into useful energy.
Okay. Now, how do you do that?
Well, once you move them, ambient would be the background, and once you move energy away from or energy source away from the background, like moving water up a hill, it will always come down. And in the case of electrons, if you excite them, or the level of excitement is above the ambient or background, you have useful energy.
Well, how did you come up with this conclusion?
Well, when I realized that it was the movement of the electrons or the acceleration that was the principal source of the energy, then I had to develop a way to capture it or transfer it into a more useful source.
Okay. Well, what was your intention by doing this? What were you trying
By doing it, what was my intention? Basically, I had heard that it couldn't be done, and all the experts told me that, and that didn't ring very true to me, so I decided I would see if what they were saying was actually true. When I realized that the components in an electrical field has an alternate component of magnetic field, and that they're equal and opposite, and that's your Lorentz or your equal and opposite EMF opposed sort of thing, and they do not appear separate. And being in the field of geology, there were electromagnetic maps which were available, which told me that the Earth's surface had a tremendous amount of electricity in it that was useful. And in trying to resolve that in regards to the activity of electrons, I realized that energy is everywhere at all times in great amounts, and that it's dormant until you disturb it or cycle it. And the cycling would be the resonant activity seen in radio devices. So you're moving electrons and you're creating electro and magnetic fields, and by being able to capture these fields at their higher levels of excitement, you get greater, you have a gradient that's greater getting back to ambient, so therefore you have a greater amount of energy.
Now, what's your background? How did you come up with all
My
this?
background, I'm a professional in science. My work history was primarily connected with the petroleum industry. I have an engineering background. I'm fully familiar with all of the establishment's ideas in regards to electricity and electromechanics and physics and all the other things that relate to it, and have always had a very doubtful eye towards anything that the establishment might consider appropriate. So therefore, when people told me that this thing would not happen, to forget about it, that was the match that lit the haystack. I think it's the end of the road as far as energy goes. I think that if there are any other developments, this one is benign as far as the environment is concerned. It's very cost effective. It's something which can be all over the world. It's not something which belongs to any one individual, any one country, and that basically the effect will be the one side effect of this is it generates ozone, which it actually puts oxygen back into the atmosphere, and none of the energy methods available today do that. There's almost nothing, there's really nothing out there that you can think of that does not use this system.
Is this similar to what Nikola Tesla was trying to achieve with free?
It is a spin-off. Basically, what I have done is pick up where Nikola Tesla had reached, and I've put myself inside his mind, and I've expanded and extended what Nikola Tesla was doing.
Now, do you think you've actually figured out what he was doing?
Yeah, I can read his mind almost perfect. Actually, I did not know about Tesla until I was into this thing more than 5 years, I guess.
Really?
Yes, and I knew the name, but I had no idea as to exactly the significance of it. And people started saying, well, you're doing what Tesla did. Building the same kinds of coils and doing all the same types of things. And at that point, well, it really got interesting because I realized that there were other people out there that were thinking along the same line.
Now, you had mentioned something about James Clerk Maxwell.
Yes.
Some of the paperwork. What do you know about that?
Okay, in the case of James Clerk Maxwell, he was professor at Cambridge University, and he picked up all of the things which Maxwell did had been done previously, and he put them in a mathematical shape so that they could be described and repeated. And he's one of the fellows that I mentioned that have to have all the pieces of the puzzle except one. So anyhow, his thinking and mine are amazingly close together because I have researched and gone back to his personal thinking. The books that are out, which I have some of the original ones, original set, were put together after he died by the faculty at Cambridge University. And they reflect what was politically correct to the faculty at Cambridge University. They do not reflect what Maxwell actually said and thought.
So you're saying if he didn't have to go through the whole peer acceptance process, we would have had a different book?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, well, what actually came out of it was not Maxwell at all anyhow. It was the faculty in the physics department at Cambridge University with what they considered politically correct. Oliver Heavisides was your EMC squared source, and it was lifted by Einstein, and I can show you exactly where Einstein got it from.
Really? Now, how much earlier are we talking here?
About almost 100, well, between 50 and 100 years earlier. Yes, most people think that I've kind of fell out of a tree, but when they realize that I've had total access to the Library of Congress, to dozens of university libraries, including here in the United States, overseas, including Italy, and Germany, and France, and England, and I've gone through these libraries like you wouldn't believe. I knew from the first moment that it was going to work and how it was going to work.
Really? Were you trying to build something specific at the time?
No, all I was trying to do was disturb ambient.
Really? Now, tell me something about these radio frequencies. I understand you're using radio frequencies to achieve this.
Well, the electron, when you cycle it or move it, you get a magnetic field and you get an electrical field. Mm-hmm. And the faster you move the electron, the cumulative effect of that magnetic and electrical field becomes greater.
Okay.
So if you're cycling at, say, 60 or 120 cycles per second, you get the same amount of electrons, and then you cycle, say, at a